the main subject of this episode, I wanted to cook this up for our final episode of the year. So the Mariners have made a transaction. About a week ago now, they signed Mitch Garver to officially a 2-year, $24 million deal with a mutual option for a third season. So because they've made a move, we can shuffle around what we think the current lineup is for 2024. So I thought this would be a fun exercise for today. What is the current Mariners lineup going to look like for this upcoming season as we sit right now? Is there somewhere you want to start with this, Lyle?
There is 30 seconds I want to add on to the Mitch Garver contract before we get into the lineup, because we found out today that there is a mutual option for a third year in that deal, which we didn't previously know. That's pretty awesome. I mean, along with the contract already being pretty club friendly to begin with, that's a plus for the Mariners. Mutual option. Again, they're not tied into it. That means it could go either way after the 2 years. They have to mutually decide if Garver will stick around. So I certainly like that.
So if it works out great, then he will stay a Mariner. Now, however, he could, turn into Barry Bonds for 2 seasons and then realize, well, I'm kind of playing on a discount here. I think I could earn more money. So maybe there's a bit of a measured output needed for that mutual option. But you're right. It is as team friendly as it gets. And this is a chance, like, bang for your buck offense to be like very valuable to the Mariners. And they really are pinching pennies. That works out, and it's an A+ signing for Jerry Dipoto, given he stays healthy. Okay, Lyle, the lineup. He's going to sit right in the middle of that lineup. But where are you looking at with this lineup? Why don't you give me, let's start off with the right-handed lineup. I want you to give me your right-handed version of this projected lineup for the Mariners.
So as it sits right now, the first 3 you can pretty easily pencil in. It's JP leading off, playing shortstop. Julio hits second in center field. Cal hits third, doing the catching. I have Mitch Garver fourth at DH. Ty France hitting fifth, playing first. And then 6 through 9 is where it gets interesting. So we have Dom Canzone playing left in the 6th spot. Cade Marlowe hitting 7th in right field. Luis Urias hitting 8th at third base. Josh Rojas hitting 9th, playing second. Is there anything different in your lineup compared to mine with the righties?
I had Dylan Moore in there. I don't know if there's that much difference with Demo and Cade in there, unless you really think Cade's going to crush righties here in 2024, which he could. But knowing Scott Service, it very realistically could be Demo getting an outfield spot, whether it's a lefty or a righty, and batting in that 7 hole. So that was the only difference there. I think the top 3 or even top 4 are going to stay the exact same, or actually top 5 will stay the same no matter who's on the bump for how I'm going to project this, especially with the righty, right? Because you have 3 of your big boppers here at the top of the lineup against righties, Julio, Mitch Garver, and Ty France, who against righties will bat there. So against lefties, they almost certainly will bat there as well. This lineup is fine. It's fine. You can shuffle around the bottom 4. I think Rojas is staying put at the 9 hole. I think we figured out they really like Rojas at the 9 hole. So maybe just 6 through 8 is what you decide to flip-flop around. If you have a different 6 through 8 in the Mariners lineup, that's fine. I don't know if there's that much difference in shuffling Dom Canzone, Dylan Moore / Cade Marlowe, and then Luis Urias at third. There's not much there.
No, there's not. And not only do the Mariners like Josh Rojas in the 9 spot, I actually like Josh Rojas in the 9 spot. I think you do too, especially when he was really swinging it well in August, early September. You can see why they acquired him. You can see why he has some value. Now, that being said, he is a good 9 hitter if you go and acquire more bats. We have said 2 things regarding the 2 guys that they acquired for Paul Sewald. If Josh Rojas is the 9 hitter on a good offensive team, that's totally fine. And then if Dom Canzone is the one guy that you have, if Dom Canzone's the one guy in the lineup where you don't know exactly what you're getting yet, because again, he hasn't played that many big league games yet, right? He's still got some developing to do. But if he's the one guy that you let learn on the fly, I am okay with that because I think he truly has a chance to break out. I'm not just saying that because we just had him on the podcast. We said that before we had him on the podcast, that he has a chance to be Mitch Haniger, where he got a taste of the big leagues. Then in his first full season, he breaks out at 26, just like Mitch did. I believe that. That being said, that is okay with both Rojas and Canzone if you upgrade right field and third base. But as we currently sit, they have not. And as a result of that, the bottom half of this lineup has some question marks.
It certainly does. But like, let's look at some like real positives with this lineup. First of all, the top three, absolute dogs. Expecting improvements from all three still here in 2024, I think leaves a lot for people to get excited about. And like, let's go down to Rojas, back to the 9 spot. If you can get that 349 on base percentage that Rojas put up in 2022 in that 9 spot, think of an 11% walk rate in your 9 hole, a 14% walk rate, give or take, however JP Crawford's output is in 2024 at that 1 spot, and then masher right after that in Cal and Julio. I mean, those are your 230 home run guys right there. And then Garver, if he stays healthy, will also hit 30 home runs in that cleanup spot. So you have 2 great on-base guys in the 9 and 1 hole, and then you have 3 guys who can absolutely crush the baseball. That's a run producing 5 guys right there, if everything works out. I did not include Ty France in there. I think a lot of people, myself included, are having a little bit of PTSD from Ty France's 2023 season and would like to see some driveline results before we say, okay, that's now actually 6 spots in the lineup that if they are all clicking and hitting well, I really think the Mariners are going to score some runs with those 6. The problem is the other 3.
I'll even add another. Again, this is a hypothetical, just like Ty France bouncing back after going to driveline is a hypothetical. But if Dom truly figures it out this year and he puts up a 110, 115 WRC plus, add another. That's 7 guys that could really hit. And then what do we come back to? Again, right field, third base. But there is a world where, again, this is best case scenario we're playing out here. But if all those guys click, it's a good lineup. It's a good lineup on the expectation that that will not be your right fielder and third baseman when the year starts.
Now, yeah, that's the big question. If we go look at the lefty lineup, it's not too much different at this point. There's a little bit more shuffling. The top 5 is the exact same, or at least I have the top 5 is the exact same. Demo bumps up to the 6th spot. Luis Urias bumps up 1 spot to the 7th spot. Sam Haggerty bats 8th, and then either Cabby or Ryan Bliss bats in the 9 hole. That is not quite as productive.
Nitpicking with my own lineup, but it's close enough. My first 5 are the exact same, just like you. Demo I have at 6, just like you. I put Haggerty at 7, kept Urias at 8th, and Cabby's at 9. Look, Jose Caballero, Sam Haggerty, and Dylan Moore all have roles. I like what all 3 of them do as utility players. Those guys are phenomenal bench bats and utility role guys. What have I said about Demo? Everybody who knows me and listens to this podcast knows I love Dylan Moore. But I love Dylan Moore in the role he plays. Dylan Moore is an everyday guy. You're probably not using him to the best of his abilities. And I think that with Sam Haggerty. I think that with Jose Caballero. Those guys are at their best when they are playing a certain role. And that's okay. Teams need role players. And role players can be very effective and very productive. We know Sam Haggerty steals bases. He can play some solid defense. He can get on base a little bit when he's right. But those guys are not meant to be starting 140 plus games a year. That's just not who they really are to this point in their careers. So to see that as the 6 through 9, I would say, again, let's find some reinforcements.
Now, this lineup could change a little bit against lefties if they decide that Cal needs a day off and they decide to give him a day off against a lefty when he hits righty. And then the question is it Sebi Zavala behind the plate, Garver still DHing? Is it Garver behind the plate and one of the role players DHing as a day off? Those are some options too. Then that lineup gets a little bit weaker, and you're talking about, I don't know, if Ryan Bliss and Cabby are on the roster at the same time, one of them could DH. They could DH Cal, but that's not really a day off. Or they could DH Canzone as like a put like something against a lefty, but still, like we're reaching here. Like we are absolutely reaching.
I think people have to get the idea out of their head that Mitch Garver could be catching. I think he is almost permanently going to be the DH, maybe once in a blue moon in an absolute worst case scenario where you burn through some of your bench, maybe somebody goes down mid-game with an injury, and you had to use Garver behind the plate. That's the only scenario I think you really see it, because again, he's had injuries and his defense back there behind the plate is not great. So I think it is going to be Sebi Zavala if you give Cal a day off. So then in that scenario, you have JP, Julio, and Mitch Garver, but then it gets very, very interesting after that. What we are kind of getting to the bottom of here is no groundbreaking information. It's something that every single person listening to us currently knows, and that is they need to add more offense.
That's good analysis, Lyle. Where'd you come up with that?
Groundbreaking. Like I'm the first one to discover that. I'm the pioneer of Mariners need more offense. Pin it down.
Okay, so you look at this lineup. What's the one spot that like needs to be next? What is it? Like, is it third base? Like, if I'm looking at this lineup and looking at the offense that's in this lineup, I mean, I probably say third base is next.
You have to pick between two. I think I'm actually going to say right field before third base. And I say that because Luis Urias had a bad year last year. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He has had successful years in the past. If you want to look at glass half full, he's been a 2-win player in the past. Right field right now is currently a lot of unknown, like more than Urias. So if I had to pick right now, what's the next spot you go fill? I think it has to be the other outfield spot. Maybe you play Cam Zone and right, and whoever you acquire plays left. But point being, one other outfielder needs to be acquired via trade or free agency next. That is my 2 cents.
Okay, well that's a pretty good. You're pitching me pretty well on that.
All right. Well, look, third base after that, like they need to fill both. I'm not saying start Luis Urias at third base on opening day, but I think they need to fill the outfield spot first.
And if Jerry's up in the suite coin flipping on which one he's going to acquire next, like whatever side of the coin it lands on, I probably won't be that disappointed either way. So that's the projected lineup. Please don't direct negative comments at us for reciting what the lineup will currently be. That is my one request, because it's not going to be received very well. So that's my one request, please.
TJ, that is called shooting the messenger.
Yeah, don't shoot the messenger, please. And thank you.
We are sitting here reciting facts on paper. Not this is what we want to pencil it in for on opening day if it's up to us. This is, as we currently sit, this is what the lineup is.
Listen, if you want to get more angry, the Mariners 26-man active roster is online. Please, MLB.com/Mariners, click the roster tab, sit there, take a deep breath. I think you can do it. Meditation. Yeah, that's a good option.